Hello Arts and Mind and Arches, I am Mr. Chris, and today we are going to write a journal. I miss doing journal with everybody. You guys have the greatest ideas and the greatest stories. So our topic for today is, you find yourself trapped in the darkest cave in its deepest cavern. It's pitch black. You're miles from the cave entrance, and the cave is home to a horrible monster and many other terrifying creatures. First, how did you get there? Second, what happened while you were trapped in the cave? And last, how did you get out? Or did you get out? What I'd like you to do first is draw some pictures to give you an image of what you want your cave to look like and what you want your story to look like. So I have mine over here. I have my horrible lake monster. He is kind of a catfish man. He's huge. He's very big. And up here I have a very haunting lake. My story is going to start out on the lake. So after I drew these, I had a really good idea of what my story is going to look like and feel like. So after you do that, I want you to also think about using some descriptive words for your journal today. So those are adjectives, words that describe other words. They really give you character to your story, and they give you a visual, an image in your head of what your story looks like. So instead of just saying the bear, you could say the horrible, terrifying bear. Or instead of saying the cave, you could say the huge, gigantic cave. When you add those words, it really helps create an image. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and read you my journal. It's pretty long. Yours does not need to be this long, but here we go. This is called The Cave Lake Monster. There I sat alone in my boat, in the middle of a giant lake, waiting for a bite on the end of my fishing line. The lake was quiet and still. A mysterious mist stood hauntingly frozen above the water's surface. The banks of the lake were formed of jagged rocks, towering cliffs, and engulfed in a swarm of massive forest trees that surrounded the entire body of water and almost completely blocked out the sun. I waited calmly as the eerie atmosphere attempted to weaken my concentration. I wasn't going anywhere until I caught a monster fish. Suddenly, the lake seemed to shake. A strong wind forced its way through the forest, and a lone ripple in the water started making its way towards the boat. The ripple grew in size and quickly gained ground as if being pulled by something under the water. It disappeared under the boat. I slowly walked to the other side. Giant bubbles were breaking the surface. Waves started to crush the sides of the boat. Something was down there in the deep, dark water. Before I could react, before I could let go, I was dragged over the side of the boat, and I plunged into the icy water. As fast as lightning, I was pulled towards the bottom of the lake. I let go of my fishing pole, but I had no control. I was still sinking at an alarming rate. It seemed as if I had been surging to the depths of the lake for minutes when I abruptly crashed into the lake floor. I opened my eyes. It was pitch black. I couldn't see a thing. I was laying face down on a rough, muddy surface. I heard a scream and frantically flipped over. Clumsily, I reached into my pocket, shaking and breathing fast. I pulled out my waterproof flashlight and turned it on. I found myself in a colossal cavern, deep in a cave that seemed to be something out of this world. It smelled wet and horrid, like a giant dog had lived there. It must have been the size of a small city in that cave. The sound of small waves washing ashore could be heard in the distance. It was a lake. Could it have been the same lake? How did I get here? Last thing I remember, I was crashing through the freezing water. It was time to pull myself together. I wasn't going to find a way out by lying there in the mud. I pulled myself to my feet, still sore from the fall. This had to be the same lake. I don't know how I ended up on land after sinking to the bottom of a lake, but I did. Was the lake the way out? Was there another way out? Just when I was about to lose it, the walls began to scratch and move. Creatures of all sizes and matter began to appear from the cracks and tunnels. Slugs the size of cars, flying insects bigger than myself, creepy crawly things that came from nightmares. I panicked and ran toward the lake. I prepared to dive in when I was struck in the head. Whatever it was had grabbed on. I felt its hairy, sticky legs wrapping around my head. I was sure that I was finished. Boom! 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 Huge, crushing footsteps shook the room. They were coming from the lake. The strange creatures all slithered back where they had come from. They were scared. I had dropped my flashlight. It lay there on the ground, shining on the lake. The steps became louder. Huge waves rocked the lake. First, a head appeared. Big, glaring eyes, a wide mouth like a fish. The thing stomped out of the water, revealing a huge human-like body with a giant gut, bone-crushing hands, a monstrous tail, and feet as big as a Tyrannosaurus Rex. There is the lake monster right there. It looked down at the flashlight, let out a terrifying roar. I hid behind a giant rock. I stayed as silent as I could. The monster started breaking and pounding the cave walls, letting out horrific, ear-piercing screams. I could feel the cave walls crumbling. Then suddenly, the noise ceased. The cave had become horribly silent. I slowly crept to the edge of the boulder and peeked. There were no signs of the creature. I took a deep breath and darted towards the flashlight. Just as I grabbed hold of my only light source, the beast's giant tail swung heavily out of the shadows. I dove out of the way, missing the crushing blow by inches. I was being targeted left and right. The cave shook with every blow. I jumped, I ducked, I found myself on my back, staring up at the monster. Drool poured down from its fish-like mouth. I considered myself a goner. The beast had leaned closer and closer until we were almost face to face. Out of nowhere, strange lights shot out of the cavern walls and attacked the monster. A glowing green light halted at my side. It was some kind of fairy creature. Where was I? What was going on? The water. It's the only escape. Dive down as deep as you can, and don't stop till you've reached the surface. We will hold off the cave fish as long as we can. The creature said in a squeaking voice. What is that thing? Where am I? I shouted. No time, go! The fairy screamed. I took one last glimpse of the monster, the fairies, and the strange world I had come upon. And then I dove. The deeper I went, the darker it became. But I did as the creature said. I kept swimming. I heard a huge bound behind me. I shined my light. I could see the beast gaining on me. I swam as fast as I could. I saw light. I shot out of the water like a cannon. I could see the monster's giant mouth wide open, approaching the surface, inhaling everything in its way. My only escape was a 100-foot cliff. I started to climb. The fish took one last swipe at me and missed. He tried to climb, grabbing, screaming, roaring, but could not scale the cliff. I reached the top. I had escaped. The monster let out one more horrible roar and disappeared to the depths. And that is the end of my journal. I hope you guys have fun with this. Use your imaginations. And remember, if you read it to anyone or if you share, stand up tall and proud. Project your voice so everyone can hear you. And have fun with it. Thank you. I'm Mr. Chris, and I will see you guys later. Bye.